All right. Oh, it's on. Okay, good. Hello. So I'm excited to be here. How many people do market stuff? Okay. Okay, good. Good. Makes me a little less nervous. So my presentation is just what I've been doing for like the past 4 years. So I'm going to get it started. So I wanted to define like what a tycoon is. The in-game definition is just managing large-scale market orders. Actual definition, wealthy, powerful person in business or industry. And then why am I a tycoon? Well, first I got 5,500 market orders listed in 17 locations all over EVE. And I might be expanding soon for 18,300 market locations, or way much more. I get a little excessive. I just started making characters, and it just kept going. So I have a trillion ISK in open market orders, mainly funded through investors. And then 150, 200 billion in revenue each month, which I'm on track to actually be hitting over 200 billion per month now with some changes that I'm doing. And 1.96 trillion to date sold in all the regions in EVE. I think the last time I looked at it, this is old, this is like 1.6 trillion that I've sold so far this year. And my margin's right around like 40% on top of like that 1.6 trillion so far. And then my profits a month are like 60 billion a month, 451 billion when this was made. We're sitting almost at like 600 billion for the year, for the total year for my profits. And then I've done 319,000 market transactions to date this year. I'm doing essentially 2 transactions per minute, no matter what, 24 hours a day in the game. And then I've sold 32,713 individual pilots all throughout EVE. So I'm helping the economy, I guess. So how it all started was I started running level 4 missions using Macarial. I needed more Tech 2 ammo. I'm sure everybody needs that, you know, hey, I got to open up the market, I got to look and I got to buy something because I'm doing something in EVE. So I opened up looking for some Quake and Tremor. Asked myself why, you know, in the past 20 years of EVE, is there still like none of this on the market, or it's a highly inflated price. So then I just said, you know, F it, I'm going to make my own market. And that's how it all started. This is like, if somebody's not going to do it or hasn't done it, I'll just do it myself. So this is a picture of just Placid with the like Quake and Tremor. And this was taken like a month or 2 ago. So you can still see like Stackmon in Orville. There's one other person selling the ammo. So even after 4 years of me doing this, I'm still like the only person selling the ammo that I need for my level 4 missions. So the beginning. So how I started out is I started running level 5 missions, saved up 25 billion ISK, and then I had to think up a persona, Eden Trade. It took me like 2 days of thinking hard, a perfect character name, all that. And the ones that I wanted were taken, so. And then I decided to just buy a Fortizar and plopped it down in Stackmon. For some reason, nobody blew it up for 4 years until, you know, the goons came in like 2 months ago and killed it. Very upset about that. And then I picked Stackmon. The name was easy to say, so a lot of my locations that I choose were just easy system names to say. And then I created a massive, very massive time-consuming spreadsheet of all the items I wanted to sell in EVE, which I hand-copied and pasted these in 4 years ago. And then you can see I have like all the different places of Eve. It took me about a whole weekend, 20 hours to make this. So, sorry. We got to slow down because we're adjusting the market orders too fast. I just had to put that in there because, when I have to update 15,000 market orders, it's and then I get 16 seconds because I'm going too fast in Eve. I don't know if anybody else has actually seen that. I've gotten it up to like 27 seconds I timed out for. So, and then this is just another thing, like that whole sheet that I just previously mentioned. This is me, like when I first started out, I was comparing my spreadsheet to what I had listed in the game, so I had to click on everything in the game. To restock just Stackmon took me 15 hours on a Saturday after work. Yes, it's gotten a lot better. So after I created my spreadsheet, I bought everything I could for 24 billion, and I shipped it down to Stackmon where I first opened up. I bought a freighter to move it, and essentially I just went to Jeddah, buy all. I just kind of took a gamble. I was like, hopefully this sells. So then I posted all those market orders, around 1,200 market orders, and I set the duration for 2 weeks. That's not good because then I had 1,200 market orders falling off in two weeks. So I had to relist all of those. That was probably the biggest mistake I did when I first started out. So then that was about another 10 hours of posting orders. So Stackmon was working out really well. I was making some ISK, but I wanted to expand, so I had to set it. So I set up 300, goodness no. Set up three markets by 2020 with my own ISK, just still running level 5s. Those are some of the locations. Some of those stats that I pulled from my old Discord were like Stackmon was like 9 billion in profits, 7.3 from Hadakani, and then my daily transactions were around like 500 to 800 transactions per day. And then I had close to like 5,000 market orders set up by then. So I wanted to expand more and faster, just because running 20 hours of level 5 missions on the weekends was just going to take me way too slow. So I created a post on the forums asking for 110 billion ISK. I'm surprised people actually paid me. But I did have market data to, back it up. I was like, you can go to Stackmon, buy my market stuff. You can see that, I'm not trying to scam you. So surprisingly, I got funded very quickly. I think it was like the end of February. So it took like 3-4 weeks to get 110 billion. And then I had 6 market hubs going with the 110 billion funding. I set up in there. I did one nullsec one as well to try that out. And only got called a scammer a few times. So, and then February through July 2020, I had to transfer the Stackmon Fortizar to I Choose You, where he's going to blow it up. He was like, you got to hand it over. You got to give up your market. I was very mad about that, but I didn't want to get it blown up. So I was like, I'll transfer it to you, and it's yours. So it got to stay up, which that's what I really wanted it to do because a lot of people were using it. Then May 2020, 7 market hubs total. This is just like an old graph that I had with the transaction. So I think like my nullsec one did like 13,000 transactions in May, which is quite a lot. So February, July 30th, yeah, so I created, by July I had 30 trade characters all right here. So I started with that. They're all just named Eden Trade Clone and just randomized. After creating 4 or 5, I got very worn out of like creating my characters. It was just so much work. I was just like hit the randomized and went. So now after that, I saw like my model was working. So then I decided I want to expand again, but I want to expand bigger, and I want to make it bigger and better. So July, I opened up the investment exchange. It was like 1 billion ISK per share. So by August, I had 305 billion shares sold. September, 544 billion. And then September, when I finally started getting all this set up, it was about 70 billion a month in profits that I was turning. Then in September, I closed the original funding. I essentially brokered a deal with myself to buy out the old investment. I don't know how that worked, but I made it fair for everybody. So I bought them out and rolled everything into one, because trying to run two investments was just too much going on, and so I condensed everything down into one. And then October, I hit 90 billion in profits for the month. And then December, I sold 1,353 shares, so that was about 1.353 trillion ISK. And then I just stopped taking ISK because it was just too much. I had too much ISK and not enough characters, and it was too much work to be posting more than 15,000 market orders. So then I expanded in December to 13 market hubs. I think I did 619,000 market transactions by December, with 354 million items sold each. So that's each piece. It could be ammo and whatever included into that. So continued. So then January 2021, I set up in the Amar regions. Amar were cut off by Trig, so I was like, that could be good if I go down there, set up my own 3 more market hubs. Jesus Christ. We're going too fast again, so we should slow down. Yes, too many market transactions. So by that time when I set up, I got all 60 characters. So I managed 60 characters, 20 accounts, and it cost me like 40 to 50 billion to plex all my accounts. So that's where a good chunk of my money goes. So just to continue on that, so by this time I was trading in 26% of the regions in New Eden. Everything that's in yellow, you can see that's where I set up. A lot of it was just random, like all the Amar ones. I just went with the locations that were just called, Corazor Prime. They ended with Prime. I made it simple, so anything that was a prime, had prime in the name, that's just what I went with. So then January, I hit 90 billion in profits for the month, so I'm doing really good, making a lot of money, moving a lot of things. February, I think 19th, I hit a record of 4.8 billion in profits just for the day, almost 30 billion for the week. So then March 17th, fully at 17 trade hubs where I'm still at today. I got out of Great Wildlands, moved that trade hub to Amamaki from EO2. There's just nobody living out there. It's a dead zone. I was hardly making no money. And then I moved that system name, I can't say, to Fran. It's right outside Ren's, which I didn't think it was going to work because we have Ren's and then you have me over here, but everybody's going, a lot of people are buying from me the next system over from Ren's, so it still baffles me today. And then I hit 100 billion in profits for the month. It was an all-time record. And then I was projecting for that May 120 billion in profits if we kept going with that. So May 2021, anybody can guess what happened to me? COVID's officially done, and then profits dropped off by 50%. So I was doing really good. And then everybody decided to go outside and not play Eve. And So I went from 100 billion to 64 billion in profits by the end of July. Um, that has remained consistent until this day, 60 to 70 billion that I'm averaging per month. And then I'm continuing to maintain the 17 market hubs today. So yeah, 60 billion. This is just the graph, Power BI. So like I started out January 79 billion, February 62, March 72, and then it kind of has its ups and downs. I think January was like the faction warfare expansion, so I think that's where I got close to 80 billion. And then it's been kind of, you can see it trickling all over from 55 to 70. So this year I'm still on track for like 750 billion in profits. It's not too bad. I think we're going to go a little bit over that. On track for almost 2 trillion in revenue. The revenue, yeah, I got the graph here. So January, like 200 billion, February 150. I think May we hit 206 billion with revenue. This July, I took this picture, and I think back in July, so it wasn't finished. So we'll hit about 600,000 transactions. Just that's how many times people are buying from me. I think I'm going to be able to double that because I'm being a lot more competitive. So for like the past 3 weeks, I've been clicking on every 15,000 market order to make it the lowest in the region, and that's going to take me a lot of time. It takes me like 3 hours per just one trade hub. And then I reduced my shares from about the 1350 to 700. It was 4 years. I was like, I don't know. Some people that just aren't playing the game. I was like, if you're still playing the game, message me. If not, I'm just going to delete your share out. So, because, people I was paying to, it's like I see they've been in like the starter court for, 2 years. And I'm just like, I'm just paying a ghost at this time. So it was the free up ISK and then get more money to the investors that that are still playing. And then I hired on a data guy to essentially re-energize the market operations. So I had some guy come to me. He was like, "I can do this all in Power BI," and I was like, "Sure, it's show me." I'm thinking he's trying to scam me for my ISK. So, but he came up with a great presentation. And then he showed me everything that he could do for me. And then I was like, fine, you'll be the first person I will let in my closed market corporation for the past 4 years. So I let him in. He said, I looked over all his data and everything he was going to do. And then he's like, well, I need 30 billion in the wallet to start buying things for you, because he's going to buy and ship it what the Power BI said. So I was like, all right, here's 30 billion. If you rip me off, you rip me off. So it's only 30 billion. Last night or the night before, he was like, I need 40 billion. And I was like, here's 40 billion more. So far, you're doing what you're saying you're doing. So my current spreadsheet setup here is just Google Sheets. Essentially, like I can just drop it down to like any market hub I want to look at. It tells me like when I took this, like I did like 8 billion in revenue, and then the profit for that was like 2.3 billion. That is just based off of the last 2,500 transactions, since you can only pull like 2,500 from the ESI. And then like Tashmercon, like it shows me the revenue that I did for those 2,500 transactions, the profits, and then how many transactions. So like out of the 2,500, I sold 344 items over there. And then just all my characters, as you can see, I just named them pretty much Eden Trade Clone 11, 12. It starts at 1 and goes to like 40, something like that. And then expansion 3, this is my goals to become a mega tycoon. I think I'm obsessive. I just keep going with it. So I don't need more ISK this time. I already have too much ISK, and I don't want to be tied up with investors. So we're doing the Power BI like I talked about with the other guy that's helping me. And the one thing when he came on and ran like his Power BI, he brought up something that was eye-opening. So I had 1 trillion in market orders listed. The order target should have been 325 billion. So that meant I had 5, 6, 700 billion just sitting there in dead ISK for market orders. So essentially we're selling all that down, and that's freeing up a 700 billion I can do whatever with. I can keep expanding. So yeah, 700 billion. So then I can reinvest that into doing more market things. So, oh yeah, and then you transport that. So now I can easily expand. So my to-do list is just make more money, make more ISK. I mean, hopefully I can get there. All that together, I should be able to get back to doing like 100 billion in profits per month. Like the biggest thing is just being competitive right now. I think when I was posting orders, I was just like, you know what, they'll pay it if they want, or if they don't want to pay it, then the heck with them. But now that I'm seeing that I'm adjusting my prices down, I'm getting a lot more ISK. So we still gotta wait. My God, I really wish they would get rid of this in the game. I really do. This is just where I was at from January to July. Just some of my market hubs. So the orange is the profit, the blue is the revenue. So like the biggest one was Altian, 80 billion. This is in billions. Stackmon, again, right around 80 billion sold for the year. Right now, for some reason, Amamaki is probably outpacing everything. I think I turned like 12 billion through in the past week. I have no clue what's going on there, but a lot of people are just in that location now buying. But it changes week to week, month to month, just depending on where the players are, what they're doing. So a couple lessons learned. Don't do nullsec. There's too many politics, red tapes, complaints on prices. Like I'll post something, like I posted something 2 months ago, the price went down in JITA, then I get a bunch of angry emails from you guys saying, well, you're overcharging me like 100%. I was like, well, I wasn't 100% overcharging you 2 months ago. NPC stations work just as well as Citadels. In fact, I don't even think we need Citadels for markets. With the whole like TTT thing where they started, blowing up I Choose You stations, the perimeter thing, I moved all of my markets from the I Choose You stations to just an NPC station, a blank. Nobody had orders there. That was another gamble, hoping people would come and still buy from me, which it turned out to be very effective. Because there's no competition. I just moved in the station. The people see the items they need, and they just fly over and buy it. Which I think in the future, if people do start competing with me, I'll just drop all my market orders and go to the next empty station that nobody's in, just to like reset and keep capturing whatever sales I want. So learn what like the functions do in Excel and Google Sheets instead of copying and pasting raw data. Like learn ESI, know what a VLOOKUP is, an XLOOKUP. So it took me like 2 years before I learned that, and I was like, wow, this is very helpful. I didn't know what a pivot table was for like a year when I first started. And then use player created services to cut down on the workload. So like when I first started, I was moving all my stuff by freighter. It would, doing 20 jumps in a freighter takes a very long time, especially after it took you like 10 hours to buy all your stuff and look through when I first started. I've used PushX pretty much exclusively for like 3.5 years. The guy that now is helping me that's doing the buying is finding the cheapest cost for delivery. And then do not list your market orders for 2 weeks, because you're just gonna have to all do it over in 2 weeks. And then just innovate and keep innovating is the biggest thing that I found. Like, always figure out, how to use Google Sheets better, Excel better, come up with new systems to like the logistics of everything. Bring somebody on that knows Power BI that can take all my market data, crunch it down, and then tell me how to run my operation better. He's innovating more for me because he's some big data guy in the distribution in real life. So I did come up with like a couple steps to become a tycoon. Find a location to set up in, high traffic, jumps per hour, pilots in space. The more people, it's a busy road, the more people that are going by, they're opening up their market window. They're going to want to buy something. They see it at a good price. They'll probably stop off and buy it. Scout the location, watch the activity, like sit in local, see how many people are there, see if people are coming in and out. And then see what they're doing, like the kill boards, look at their kill boards, like what are they flying around that area. Figure out what's selling. So like, here's a few things that are selling, that I sell, that are actually selling really good if anybody's interested. So rigs, you can see take up a huge portion of what I sell. That's 389 billion. I think when I took this back in July. Ammo, everybody's buying ammo, you got to shoot people, so. And then weapons go with that. Mining equipment, you got a lot of new players mining in high sec. Of course, drones. There's a lot of different things you can sell. Capital fuel is always good, but nobody's really using capitals too much right now. And then when I purchase my items, I buy directly just from Jita. I just go to Jita, buy all, look over the price, making sure I'm not getting scammed on like that scam price that's 300 million for a $10,000 mod, 10,000 ISK mod. Move your items using push X. It just ensures your items you're moving. If you're moving, like I've moved 40 billion with them, I don't want to put it in my jump freighter because if I lose 40 billion, I lose 40 billion. Push X loses 40 billion, I get my 40 billion. So there's a good insurance program. They've only lost like 2 contracts in 4 years. And then post those orders, I mark up each item at least 25% of what I paid for it. Mark up high ISK items less. So if it's like 200 million, you don't want to mark it up by 25% because that would make it like 250. Somebody sees that price, they're going to see the 50 million. So you got the higher cost items should be a little bit lower, like the T1 items, it's like 20,000 ISK. I'll jack up to like 150,000 because it's 150,000. And then collect your data, figure out how to use your data, to see what's selling, what you can do better, like what you need to carry more of, what you need to delete and stop selling because you sell one of it a month. And then just always keep in mind, people are very lazy, and if they got the money, they'll just purchase for whatever's closest to them. Even if it's 4 jumps from Jita or 2 jumps from, Amar. So I sell in 2 locations, 4 jumps from Jita, and they turn a pretty high profit. And then worst case, if you list a bunch of orders, you can always just liquidate it, bring it back to Jita, resell it. You're going to lose a little bit of ISK, not too much. So what do I do with all my ISK? I was asset poor, so I did not a whole lot with my ISK because I had to pay investors and I had 20 accounts to sub. The investors came first, so I was on the hook for 1.4 trillion ISK. So that's a lot that I've got to pay back every time I think about it. This is just a screenshot of my wallet. So like personal ISK, 118 billion. I think I had like 200 billion in there, which is probably the most I've ever had in a while for like at least 3 years. I don't think I actually took any money for the first 2 years of doing this. I just paid the investors and subbed my accounts. Try new things like building T2 dreads. I made an industry operation. I can produce 252 T2 cruisers in 5 days. I got 60 characters. I can run 600 industry reactions and about 600 ship whatever building things. I got really tired of that after like 2 months of starting 600 reactions every Saturday, I think. I was running 60 billion through Amamaki, their industry thing, every week. I gave that up very quickly. I did join Snuff Out for a bit, for about a year and a half during this. They're very expensive to play with, and I almost couldn't keep up with how much ISK for the fits and ships they wanted. I ended up with like 3 Dreadnought alts and like 2 other PvP alts, and it was just too expensive. And then I get confused by small numbers. So I think in like the billions and trillions, and then like when I'm trying to type in like 1 million, I fumble typing in 1 million. I'm usually typing in like a billion when I start. And then invest in faction warfare. I've been doing a little bit with Galente, about 20 billion I'm investing in there just to see how it goes, to create some content. And then I just keep reinvesting my ISK into the operations. So I think out of like this 160 billion from the holder and the personal ISK, I think I have 20 billion of that left because I just reinvested a lot more in like new items, and keeping the heavier selling items in stock for everybody. And then I randomly give things away with my ISK. Sometimes I'm just watching EVE Discord and see a noob, he lost all his stuff. Here's some ISK, here's your ships, replaced, take them. And the last thing is just my wish list. Please make a Mega Tycoon skill book, because we keep adding items to the game, but we don't expand how many market slots. If you do this, I could probably get another 1,000 market orders in every location, so that would be great. And then I would have no time to actually do anything else in life. A sell all, a copy and paste item name and price from the spreadsheets into in-game. So like I can just copy everything in my spreadsheet, the price I want to sell it for, and then essentially highlight all those items and then paste it over there, and it would just bring up the sales price and all those items, because it's very time consuming to list. You got 17 market locations, 40 to 50 items in each of those locations per week. It takes a lot of time to do that, and I would rather just be able to sell them all very quickly like the buy all. Auto renew market orders. I really hate having to go through all the market orders falling off. Like I just did before I came out here, I had to spend 3 hours before I got on my flight to update like about 300-400 market orders that were falling off in one location. So that was very time consuming. I just want to hit an auto renew and just pay a bill. And then append to current market orders. If I already have something posted, I would just, you could just take that same item and just append it to that. So instead of having to cancel it and then, stack it and then post that item again. The last thing is if you can please get rid of this. It would take me 2 hours to renew some of my market orders rather than 3. So I'd like to see that screen go away. That's the biggest thing. If you do that for me, if any of the devs do that, I would be very happy. Yes, because I'm updating it just by like 1 ISK just to, so it goes back to 90 days. So I think I'm probably the only one that sees that most of the time. No, some other people, okay, good. I'm not the only one. So I have to so I just switch clients back and forth, and then when one time's out, I go to the next one. So that's my presentation. I guess I'll take questions. Thank you.
Thank you. You mentioned Mamake. Right now, there is something happening because you see a lot of market orders.
Yep.
did you notice you can predict, let's say, the start of war or big operation by looking at data, collecting data from all your market orders, and maybe predict upcoming wars or movement of, let's say, troops that need ships and orders, these kind of things?
Um, I've always thought about it. Like, I don't know if I could predict that. It could in those regions, but like the one thing that I want to try to predict is, when somebody is moving, capitals around. Like I have sinos posted, liquid ozone, the capital fuel. It's nothing that I've really gotten into to look at. But I think I could predict some things like that with sales, seeing who's buying, who just bought like all my millions of units of capital fuel. So, and then hunt them down if I really wanted to. Ooh, any other questions?
Have you ever had any in-game drama? Someone sees what you're doing and they get ticked off at you, or vice versa. You see someone's like in one particular spot just a pain or a thorn. Anything spill over into a war deck or anything like that?
Not really. I know there's some people that I think it was during your stream, the one guy was really mad that I was working with I Choose You. I essentially just fuel his citadels, but when you have 1 trillion of ISK in those citadels, you want to make sure they stay online. So I was like, sure, I'll help you fuel those. But he was just like, oh, you're running the high sec racket with them. I was like, no, I'm just selling stuff. Nobody's really had anything like that other than calling me a scammer sometimes. So there's always a couple people out there. But other than that, nothing really. There's sometimes I'll get competition from somebody like Stackmon. It was like a year ago, was listing, I think, 1,000 orders in the same Fortizar. So I just went in there and said the heck with it and outbid him every like 12 hours and adjusted 1,000 market orders until he moved out. And we all lost ISK on that. All right.
Great presentation, by the way. Could you expand a little bit more on the logistics side of your operation? And like, I'm guessing you're only going for final products and avoiding raw materials and all of that. And like, what's the rate of how many freighters you need, like, daily, I'm guessing?
Every time that we go, like we just purchased, did another purchase last night, like that 40 billion. So no matter what, it's definitely at least 17 locations. So you're looking at least 17 freighters whenever we contract a PushX. When I was contracting to them, I would, within 1 hour, create about 20 contracts to them within the hour. I became like their biggest customer. I didn't get a discount from them, but I've spent about 200 billion just to PushX. I can't remember the number. I've moved like 6 trillion with them. Easiest way for the logistics is just, I use the Corp wallet. So all the ISK is there. It falls into the Corp orders. So we buy everything in Jeddah. We contract it out. And then essentially it's just like any other shipping company in the world. They take my contract and move it out to my stations without me having to actually oversee it. And then all my characters are just set in the station. So whenever it gets delivered, it falls into the Corp hangars. And then I just take that and then just start listing the orders from there. I think that's as simple as we can make the logistics for it. The only other thing is, the harder thing is like the jump freighters going to low sec. You got to wait until you have a lot more sold before you can actually make a trip. And I know PushX sometimes will try to keep it under the 60,000 M3 so they can just use blockade runners. It's faster. They'll get it there a little bit faster. I think those get accepted a little bit easier than the freighters. Anybody else? Oh.
Yeah. So you said that you're switching from like the fixed margin to the lowest price in the region. is that just gut feeling, or do you have, because that's gonna erode your margins? It might just be a terrible move.
Could be a terrible move. Everything I've done is just kind of based on what it feels, like the gut feeling. So just over the past 2 weeks, since I've been doing it, like I think I told you, like Valor, I went from 100 transactions, actually 80 transactions per day. I adjusted all the market orders, and then within the next day, I'm at 350 transactions when I last looked at it. So we're selling more, but it's less profit. We're essentially going with sell-through. Sell as much as we can to make the most ISK that we can to capture those sales to see if that works. Because in May, July, I posted everything at 60%. I went through all the market orders, did 60%, and I still ended up with like a 40% profit margin. So that wasn't working. It's essentially my 40% problem. I keep making 40% of what the revenue is. So now we're just doing sell-through on that. So it's another thing to try. If it doesn't work, I'll spend another 4 weeks readjusting them back up. Yes. I think he has a question.
Hi. So, but do you use an external program like GVAssets so that you can do all your block buying in one go, or are you having to buy for each trade location individually?
Each trade location individually. If we bought it all together, it would dump out in the same hangar, and then you would have to spend hours unstacking it.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah. So with my Google Sheets, actually the guy, I can use my Google Sheets to buy, but the guy that has the Power BI, it actually just splits it up by location, and each location, it'll just tell you what to buy, like what needs to be bought. And then he takes that, and he just buys by location using the Power BI. Cool. Anything else? All right. Anybody want some ISK? No. Sorry, I can't afford it.
Has the EVEOnline Excel add-in factored into anything at all? Have you looked at that? Is it anything you'd try using, or have you tried using it already? Or
I tried it when it first came out. I tried to set up a spreadsheet like I had, but for some reason it likes to auto-update every cell whenever you change something. So I got it to a point to where essentially Excel would freeze up for 5 minutes because it would pull all the market orders, and then when I was trying to manipulate that, how I have Google Sheets set up, it would start recalculating everything. So I gave up on that. The only thing I do use the Excel for is to pull just my market transactions, so I can copy and paste them over and keep track of that. And then that's about all I use it for right now. If they were able to stop having it auto-calculate and be able to work with the bigger stuff that I do, then it would be easy to use. Good.
You can tell a joke while I'm going over there.
You said, I think, in your presentation, you buy directly from sell orders. Is that just an effort thing? You know, not wanting to put up buy orders, for example?
It's really just to make it easy, because if we were to set up buy orders, those would drop in. You don't know when you're going to get that, but you need the item now. Like, you're sold out of these 100 things. Like, I'm missing sales. And then the other thing is just, like I said, it falls in there. You'd have to unstack those items and figure out where they're going. So, and I've tried to work with other people to buy directly from people, but it's just too complex to do that. All right. I think that's all the time. So, perfect. Thank you.